But besides that, I'm also doing a lot of, well, nowadays, bots, etc. So hence this talk. I'm also an ASP insider. And as you can see from my flashy shirt, I'm also part of the ASU board member team, the Azure Belgian community. And I also do my own conference each year, which is called Cloud Brew, which is funky enough. Well, we did something about Azure. And since we're Belgians, we like to brew beer, so hence Cloud Brew. Well, a little bit about me. It's more like my professional background, and why I'm doing this session is I started in 2016 with chatbots at a big company called KBC, which is an international banking. And our first bot went into production in April 2017. We have now like 35, I think even already now 50 in test, 8 or 9 in production. And basically over there, I created a multi-tenant bot platform because in those days, there was not much going around and there was definitely no Power Virtual Agent. We used Lewis, we used a bit of bot framework and mostly IBM Watson Assistant because at that moment in time, it was the best choice for us for our business. More on that later.
Just excuse me, Kris,
yes.
Your video has been deactivated. So if you can just reactivate it if you want, or if you want to keep going like this, you can go. Just to let you know.
Yeah, I don't see. I just see my my screen. I don't see the Teams, so I don't know if I'm coming in.
No, your video is deactivated, so it's up to you. Or you can reactivate it, or you can leave it like this.
Oh, okay. Let's quickly try because this is perhaps not that funky. Let me see. I can see myself, so.
Okay, so it might be me. I got an issue with my Teams. Okay, no worries.
No? Anyone else can see me? Just put it in the chat.
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay,
you
great.
Can see me? Oh, okay.
I guess it's my Teams which got an issue. No worries.
Okay, super. If there's something going on or you don't see me or you cannot not hear me, just give out the yell, okay? Okay, now let's go back to the presentation. Let's see where I am. Okay, I'm in the, hello, I'm here. On up again. Okay, so the session for today will be like an intro to Power Virtual Agents. And because I have quite some extensive amount of experience with building chatbots, I'm going to mostly talk about that as well. My do's and don'ts, like, please don't do this. This is where we failed epically when going into production, that kind of stuff. I found from other talks that I did about this that most people found this more interesting because most of the theory about creating a bot or something, they can read in all the extensive documentation provided by Microsoft or any other vendor. But it's that well-known, approved background checks and then all those experience on doing something actually in the fields, in production. Apparently, most people find that more interesting. So I want to emphasize a little bit more on that one as well. But without further ado, let's do a demo. So I would say normally raise of hands who already did something with Power Virtual Agents. I cannot see you now in the public, of course. So I'm just going to assume that some of you have already did something with Power Virtual Agents. For some people, it's completely new. I'm just going to show you guys a little bit about what Power Virtual Agents is about, and then I'm going to go further to the other side of the talk. Okay? So if you want to start Power Virtual Agents, you just go to powerva.microsoft.com, and there you can create bots from here. So I already, as you can see, I already prepared a little bit just to spare a bit of time. And here I'm in my, it was like for a bot that I created for Global Power Days a couple of months ago. And here I, fancily enough, I created the Corona bot. So let's switch to that one. Okay, now I switched. It's refreshing. Okay. Power VA is, per my knowledge, not still general available. So there's still some things going on and things that are not yet in there, unfortunately, but they will get there. So it's really already a powerful platform. But some things were still going to be added. So here on the left side, you see the menu, basically the home screen, which we see here. We have topics, basically what your bot can respond to. And as you can see, I already have quite many here. I will show you how I got to these. We have entities, which is basically things like that you can ask and that it will understand, like say, for example, a temperature or the weight or an email address. It will try to understand, this is an email address. If you type in, for example, chris@azi.be. Or if I give like, I'm 45 years old, it will understand, oh yeah, Chris is 45 years old. Technically not yet, next week. And it's my birthday. You can also create your own entities and also synonyms. You can see here, these are like pre-built ones. And if I take a look on this one, on usage type, you can see that here I created several new ones. And I also gave synonyms. I could also add more synonyms if I wanted to, or enter more items, just to make everything understandable for our platform. I also have some clear analytics. I just checked out this bot. I did not publish this one yet. This is a nice Power BI view of it. So you can see that a couple of days ago, I prepared this bot if things come true. Okay, super. So you see here, like, I can have like a clear understanding. Of course, if I have a very powerful popular bot, which is out there in the field, used by thousands of people, I can start seeing way better markings here. Like, oh yeah, this is where they fell off, or this is where things need to be extra trained by our people. So this dashboard is really quite helpful. Also here you can see customer satisfaction. Of course, I didn't publish it yet, but apparently quite some people are quite satisfied here. And I can also see my session over here. I can download it here. And also the billing, because somehow, somewhere in time, you have to pay Microsoft. So you can also see that over here. I could publish it. And there's quite some, some channels over here that I could go to. Like I could do like a regular website, mobile app, Facebook, Slack, even email. That kind of surprised me yesterday when I saw it, but it's possible. And also here with custom websites, you can also do some more stuff than just websites, of course, because basically you're talking to a REST API. And here you can also go to skills. So if you have developers in your team who are busy with bot framework skills, you can also integrate those into your virtual agent. I didn't try that yet. I just want to keep things simple. Just make sure that you understand that those things are possible. But that really requires programming in either TypeScript, Node.js, I believe, and C#. So that's basically real programming. Now to go back to these topics, because basically that's where it all starts. Here I can see like, oh, these are my topics which are available. These are very simple ones. And here you can see like I turn these on. And if I click on one, you provide like questions. Like you basically train like, I want to get into this topic. Basically telling the bot like, please, I think the person who is typing to you or asking you a question, most likely it will end up in this canvas. So here I can say like one question, like how will I be contacted? Best of it is, of course, that you have like multiple of these training sentences. They give like for Microsoft On and also like IBM and such other vendors, they usually state like, try to give at least 5 sentences to train. This one is just one, and I'll show you why in a short while. But if I now try this one, I can type this in because here on the left one where I'm typing now, this is my test canvas. So I'm not live with this bot. And if it now understands, so it will give my answer. And did that answer your question? I will say here before I continue, track between topics. And I can say here, yes. And now I'm going into another topic. And the nice thing is here on the right side here, I can see directly how my canvas will look like and in which step I am. So here, my star rating is basically where I am now. Yes, I'm happy. And it should now hopefully say if the internet connection works a bit on me. Okay, super. So here you can see visually very well like what's going on. So no, I don't want anything else. Thank you very much. You helped me very well. And here it will go to yet another topic. So thank you for now. Bye. This conversation, each time when I ask something and I get a response back, this is what they call a turn. Basically, I go to the internet, I get an answer back. That's a turn. This entire part, basically up to closing, is what they call a session. And the reason why I emphasize on this is because it's you're being built on sessions, but also on turns. So I think at the moment, the pricing is as such that you pay like $2,000 for 1,000 sessions. So as long as people keep on going here, that's called a session. You're just being built for one session. Of course, you could keep on talking for like half an hour with a bot. Those things really happen. We've seen that in production. Of course, it's maximized. I think it's like 20 minutes of talking. That's considered one session. And also 100 turns. So if within 2 minutes, for example, if you have a very chatty person, that person asks like 50 questions or 100 questions, you're starting to be built for a next session. Just make sure that you understand that. In this case, this one is closed. So this was one session. So now I would be built for one session. If there are any questions, just shout or put them in the chat box and I will go over them later on. Okay. I told you I put these topics. And instead of me typing in all of these, because as you can see, it's quite a lengthy list, what I did is I went to this website, which is from the Belgian government, and all about coronavirus. And this is a fact, like basically what are coronaviruses, what are the symptoms, that kind of stuff. So basically, question, answer. I can quickly go here, go to suggest topics, and do the ad. One thing I noticed, because the website itself is normally without that suffix index.html, then it didn't find it for some reason. But if I added myself index.html and then do an ad, it will understand. I will go start. It will take a couple of like a minute or two to crumble over these, and then you get all these topics. Very handy. So you still have to turn them on. I forgot that the first time, and I was like, oh my God, why isn't my bot being trained yet? Of course, I need to put on everything because perhaps there's like a certain amount of questions that you don't want to be on your bot. Okay, super. Let's switch to another bot that I created. I'm not following up on the Teams itself, so are there already any questions, moderator?
Yeah,
or?
You have one question.
Okay.
From Johan van der Spurt, sorry if I spelled it wrong. Has this any link with Power Automate? It looked like a flow.
Sorry.
Sorry, I will repeat the question. Has this any link with Power Automate? It looks like a flow.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it. It's like a very visual way of adding things together, so you can perfectly give this to a business owner. As you will see in further down the road, but I can already talk about it now, highlight it a little bit. Basically, when we started in 2016, there was not that much yet. We had language understanding from Microsoft and interpretation called Lewis. I think Q&A Maker was still like in the making, pun intended over there. And there was the bot framework. So it was a lot of extra work and programming and no visuals. Microsoft, during the years, they tried to make something visual. I was myself in several private previews as an MVP. Some of them were really nice, but most of them didn't work out. And this was from the bot framework team. Basically, before I made a distinction, the Power Platform team and the bot framework team are working together on this. So all the good stuff and all the integration of both worlds are being put into this one. The reason why we start with IBM Watson Assistant beginning of 2017 was because it had a visual canvas, basically like this. In the meantime, I switched to my other bots. So if you go here, for example, to this one, and if I show you the authoring canvas, and if it loads for me, so here you can actually quickly ask, for example, ask a question or call an action or show a message and add it over there. Here you split out, basically this is our big switch statement. It's very easy to add more of these things. And this you can give to a business owner, like someone who's a little bit savvy and knows the business very well, like what should I ask, what should I expect? This can be authored by someone from business. When I was creating that bot platform at the bank, there was one technical person, basically me. I had to take care of everything, like the entire DevOps, the bot platform, make sure that all bots were up and running, do some crisis management from time to time because we had some very funky things going around. And I had 23 business units that I had to support because everyone all of a sudden wants to have a bot, like HR, the people from the websites, everyone wanted to have a bot. And with IBM Watson Assistant, at that time, it was, per my knowledge, the only thing who had such a visual canvas. And now, thanks to Microsoft with Power Virtual Agents, and that's why I think this is such a cool technology, we also have that. I hope that answers your question. Dear silence, so I guess that's a yes. I hope so.
I think so. There's more comment in the chat window, so I guess so.
Okay, super. So we've already seen here like a very sophisticated one. And if I would just want to see, like, this is my trigger phrase. So if I want to go for like, I want to buy a laptop, and I'm going to put on tracking, because if I don't put it on, I might jump to another conversation canvas and you will not see the debugging one. Another cool thing is over here for people who are like a bit into programming, that you can also see that we have here two variables. We will see them also being filled up depending on where in the flow we get. There's another example that I want to show you where it's a bit more visible. We can zoom also in and out. And here we can also have like a mini map. So I can scroll around because some canvases can become extremely large. For another project that I worked on last year, this didn't exist yet, and we created our own application, also with a visual canvas, but that's built in-house. I'm unfortunately not allowed to show it to you because it's a proprietary thing, and they don't know what they're going to do with it yet. So either sell it or keep on building it inside of the building. So. Great. So if I, for example, would go here and ask like, I want to buy a laptop. And then it will ask me like, how do you see yourself? I'm more of a business user because, okay, we have the exact products. Shall I add this to your cart? Yeah, this looks like a nice laptop. And here you see myself jumping to another one. Did it answer your question? Yes, it did. And so here I get again into that star rating. That star rating comes out of the box when you create a new bot or a virtual agent, sorry. And that's actually pretty cool because I remember in the past when we had to create this from scratch, it took us quite some time because some part was being done in IBM Watson and some part was done in C# code. So here it's directly out of the box. And if I now choose, for example, like, yes, I'm very happy or I'm excellent, you will see that the CSD rating will be 4. This is, of course, like later on to show like, oh yeah, this customer was happy or unhappy and where should we intervene? Because later on with Power BI and we can see like, oh yeah, this customer was happy or unhappy. Thank you for your feedback. No, thank you. Okay, so super. So this was an entire conversation. Another one is, let's go to this one here. And here are, of course, my catchphrases, like what would the weather be, forecast. So just to get into this one. And the reason why I want to show it to you is I'm calling here a small flow. I basically Power Automate, I have to tell you nowadays. I'm not going to go too much into Power Automate because there's a full session by Serge Luca later on today. I think it's at like 2 p.m., like at 1400 hours. But I just want to show you, like, if you want to go to a backend or do a connection with Power Automate, that is possible. Just remember, we'll try to go into that a little bit detail later on, that there's only like a small amount of types that you can provide, like text to Boolean and a number. So what's the weather here today? Let's clear this one because this is our test. So let's say forecast. For which city? Let's go for Paris. And I think the zip code for Paris is 75,000, if I'm correct. Okay, so here we went to Power Automate, basically calling the weather source from MSN. And it got something back, like these variables are now being filled. So here in my debug session, I can see like, oh yeah, my city that I provided over here is Paris. My zip code is 75,000. These two variables we have sent here to Power Automate, and we got this back from the REST call through Power Automate. So the location is Paris. Chance of rain is 40. I don't know how the weather is. I just see here in Mechelen, where I live in Belgium, that the sun is peeking through the window. And here the day summary is basically the text that we can see here. Well, so how did I get to this one? Is if I go to my topic again and open this and directly go to the canvas. Oops. I was able to go and call this action and see here the flow details. So it's a very simple Power Automate. No, I'm going to dismiss this one. And if I just do like an edit, I see that here I have like a connector for Power Virtual Agents. So these are my two variables that I provided, like the city and zip code. And here you can already see like I'm only capable of putting in these, so no extra funky parts yet. I think they're going to augment it, but for the moment we're limited to these three. And this is, of course, a Power Automate one. This is basically going to call the MSN weather channel. And this is basically return your answer from this REST API call back to the Power Virtual Agent. So basically back to here. So if you have people who are very good at using Power Automate and can set up like lots of REST calls and doing API calls or doing some other cool stuff, and then provide it to a business owner who can basically quickly integrate it if you explain to that person like, you have to give this as information, as input, and you might expect this as output. So that's pretty cool stuff. Now, how do I get that? For example, I can here, you see like a plus sign. So this is the authoring canvas. I can here ask a question, or if I want to go to a, for example, like here, Power Automate. This is most likely too early, so I'm not going to save it. But just here, you can see like your Power Automate flows. So this is the one that I just used. Of course, if you have multiple Power Automate flows and you expose them to your virtual agents, you see here like a way bigger list, of course. But this is how you can do that. It's all pretty well explained in the documentation. That's how I also learned it myself, by the way. So I really urge you to take a look at those. How are we doing on time? Okay, cool. So now I'm going to leave this Power Virtual Agent part, the drawing, as where it is. And I would like to continue with my slide deck.
Just have one question.
Yes.
Has this technology got a free version as Power Automate, or perhaps have?
Sorry?
Has this technology got a free version?
There is a free trial, basically what I've been doing right now, but you need a work account. So it didn't work with my Gmail or with my Hotmail account. I really had to use the one from the business. And then I think it's like a 30-day free trial. Most likely you're also somewhere capped, but you start being built when you're being published, when it's really live in production.
Okay, so I guess like behind this question is like if you can manage to do some flow with Automate or application with Power Apps, we can do some virtual agents. Is it right?
If I understood the question correctly, I think yes.
Okay.
Super. So basically what's going on with bots? In 2016, when bots were being like completely hyped, they were like completely overpromised. Like, yeah, bots were going to change the world. Your help desk would see a reduction of 30% in people. Well, 4 years later, we all know that's not the case. Robots didn't take over the world. The Terminators have not come here yet. Or was that perhaps in July? Because this year is a bit funky, to be honest. So basically, bots were always overpromised, but unfortunately quite underdelivering. So when you start with a new bot and you ask it like, how much is 1 + 1? Most of the time it was not trained for that. So it said like, I have no idea what you're asking me. I had an extremely tough time, especially in 2016, 2017, and 18, explaining to managers, like, if I set up a new bot, at best it can say hello world. It's not the next Skynet, which can shoot rockets into the sky or put someone on the moon or make a great cup of coffee. Unfortunately, no. So you have to teach everything and every single bot again and again. Of course, you can reuse some parts, like, for example, now with bot framework skills, which is something pretty new. And also you can copy paste now in Power Virtual Agents certain parts of the canvas or make things up. So the tooling has become way better, but 2016 to 2018 area, this was basically what was going on. Everyone had like very high hopes because it was very much hyped by things like Forbes and all those technology newspapers. Like, this is the next big thing, bots are going to take over the world. Of course, if you have like something and which is overhyped, all of a sudden they start like rethinking things and they call 2.0 or 3.0, which is quite common in our sector. So Forbes basically points now the virtual agents 2.0 version. So they say like Underpromise, like basically state up front like, hey, I'm a bot and I can help you with this, instead of like, I can do everything and make a good cup of coffee, because that still didn't happen yet. And also over deliver. So basically first Underpromise, like keep everything low, like, hey, this is what I can do. Train and keep on retraining your bot and make sure that the level of the bot is going higher and higher so that what the person gets as an answer is becoming way better. Some companies are becoming really good at it. Say, for example, the chatbot of bol.com, which is a Dutch company. That one is really good. It's really giving clear answers like, hey, where's my package? Where can I trace this? Where can I follow up on that? What's the status of this? It's really good. And also it starts to more and more to talk into a understandable human way. Of course, it's very well trained. So I'm pretty sure, I don't know exactly how many people are behind it, but I can understand it's quite a team. Now, the life cycle of a bot, and this also goes for the chatbot framework, by the way, is basically you start planning because someone has a great idea from business, like, hey, we need a chatbot for XYZ. Say, for example, my coronavirus bot. Of course, then the business people, they come to the IT department and say like, hey, we have this great idea, make it. So you start building, of course, you start testing, you publish it, you connect it to all over the world, like, say, for example, like Facebook or and Twitter and whatever, and you constantly evaluate. And then you go to building again and go through the entire process. This smells a bit, of course, like DevOps. And that's basically the truth, because when I take a look at my experience at the bank, sometimes I had to deploy like small little changes like 20 times a day. And this was code. It was not just like answering by the bot, but like adding little tweaks to the software. Like my business owner, he saw a video. He called me like, Kris, drop everything. This is going to be important now. 2 hours later, he saw another video. And yeah, whatever you're doing now, stash it in your Git repo and basically start working on this one. So very tiny little detailed and fine-grained development and publishing. So make sure that you have a very good DevOps plan over here. For the planning, basically we started with this one. This is not the real life one because they didn't allow me to show it because this was going to be recorded. But basically this is how we worked with the business people. While I was creating the bot platform, the business people spent like months on making very detailed maps like these. That's interesting, but as a good feedback tip, I give you already, like, do not spend too much time on this. Like, do not go into the very nitty-gritty details like, if this is being asked, this should be answered. The reason why, we went into a test environment with our bot after several months of development. After 2 hours, I think like 70% of this drawing already went down the drain because people were asking completely different things that we thought they would do. And I will show that here. So basically, this is the bot that the first bot that we created. It was in a application for youth. So the youth, the teenagers, basically ranging from, I think, the age of 11, 12 to 21. I know 21-year-old people are not teenagers anymore, but basically that was the main audience of this application to learn youngsters how to do mobile app banking in a very simple way. And also, of course, it had like a chatbot. The nice thing was for us, this was an excellent playground because youth is rather forgiving when it concerns like new technology. So we also made it in a bit of a funky way, like like putting like little jokes and such into it, and also riddles. So it was actually a very nice playground for us, also as developers, to work with that. We also hired people who are specialized in writing text for youth, because most of the people who are working on this were in their 30s or a bit older. We don't speak the language of youngsters of 12-year-old. For those who have children at home in that age, most likely you also sometimes find yourself having a bit of difficulty, like they come up with a certain term that you don't know. So this was expected, like this conversation. Like, how can I open a bank account? Remember, it's a banking app. Tell me a joke. Well, we had some jokes in there. Or transfer €5 to Mark. Basically, the plan was then not using Power Automate, but just calling to the backend systems, like, please transfer €5 to Mark from my bank account. So we were on the verge of doing that. We were halted because due to budgetary reasons, unfortunately. That was expected. Another thing that was expected is the last bot that I was effectively working on. And this is for an HR company. So how many days do I still have? I'm sick, not going to show up today. And let me quickly go here to this one. So basically, this is what we had made up. So this was like a conversation. This was created by a specialized company for us, who specialized in making all these dashboards for mobile apps. But this was for the bot. So here I'm at SDWorks. Thank you, I'm the bot. This is a start, by the way. Request a holiday. So this is how I still have left. So most likely now the bot went to the backend, got to SAP or some other system, and checks like how many holidays I still have left. It will try to understand. This basically actually works, huh? By the way. This is live in production. So this is basically what we expected. This kind of conversations. What we did not expect, and I'm now mostly talking about the chatbot for youth, is like, we got a question like, hey, I'm in love with you. I want to get married next week. And our bot replied basically like, what? Yeah, I asked your mom and dad, they're okay with it. We're going to get married next week. That conversation came back a couple of times. Quite unexpected, to be honest. Another one was, hey, I don't believe you're a mechanic device. According to me, you're just some ugly dude in a chair sitting in the office. I'm going to track you down. I'm going to punch you in the face. We also got this a couple of times, mostly by youngsters around 15 years old. Just to give like the indication, most likely they're like in their growing up phase, like, yeah, I would be the tough dude. Let's show a bit of rooster on my attack over here. What I kind of expected and tried to explain to the business, unfortunately, we didn't get it from the beginning, is I want to commit suicide. That's pretty harsh and totally unexpected. The thing is, like, we went live, and within the first 2 days, we already got 3 different people asking for that. Unfortunately, because the business didn't really think about it, like, oh yeah, this is going to be asked. The first time, I tell you, there were like hundreds of jokes or jokingly answers in our bots. The first time we went live, and the first time we got that question, yeah, unfortunately, it answered in a jokingly way. So I was looking through all the logs and directly noticed it because I was constantly refreshing. Later on, I made a fancy dashboard application, but I was now looking on the database. And I directly called my business owners, like, look, guys, really put something new for that because this is completely not clear. So luckily, the second time this was asked, already the people were like being sent to the online chat channel from the government for suicide prevention. For the HR bot that I created later on, during my job interview, I was also mentioning this, and the people were like, huh, what? Really? I said, like, yes, really, these things are being asked. Sorry. And luckily, they listened, and they implemented it. They went live, and indeed, within, well, luckily not on the first day, but after a couple of days being live, they also got these questions several times. I don't know how many percentage of the conversations are nowadays about dark thoughts, but I wouldn't say significant, but they're still being asked apparently. So if you start creating bots, please try to provide something for that as an answer.
Just Kris,
yes.
I think some people hear some noise when you speak.
Yeah.
We didn't have this at the beginning.
Sorry?
Actually, like at the beginning it was fine, and now when you speak, we have some kind of noise.
From my side, or?
Yeah, can you speak again? Just.
Hello, testing. Do you still see noise, or?
Yeah, actually, like sometimes when you speak and you speak too high, we can hear some kind of noise.
Ah, okay.
Like,
is it now better?
Too close to your microphone.
Ah, well, the microphone is basically just here, supposedly, so that doesn't change.
Okay.
Is it clear now, or should I try something else?
It's a bit better right now.
Okay, super.
Okay, let's keep going like this, and if someone in the chat let me know that you have an issue to hear you, I will let you know.
Okay, super. Should I repeat this part, or it's clear?
Yeah, I can repeat it.
Okay. So basically what I want to show with this one is that people ask questions about like how to commit suicide. And unfortunately, this happens more often than you might think. The first bots that we went online with, basically already in the first 2 days, 3 different people asked for it. The first time we didn't anticipate on it well enough, so the business didn't provide a decent answer for it. And as such, basically it answered in a jokingly way. Remember, we had hundreds of jokes in that youth application. Luckily, I was able to intervene and call the business directly and told them, like, look, please give a better answer for this. So we directly changed it. So now the second time that some person asked for it, he was being sent to like the suicide prevention line, either the online version or the telephone version. When I had a job interview at my current client, which is an HR-based company, SD Works, I think they recently also did a merger or a takeover of Globe Payroll in La Défense in Paris. When I did my job interview, I was also mentioning this, and the people, they were like, huh, really? I said, like, yes, really. Luckily, they listened. They put it into the application, and well, luckily, after going into production with their application and their chatbot, It wasn't asked in the first day, but a couple of days later, already the first person asked for it. It's not a significant amount of people, at least back then. I don't know how Corona and COVID-19 area is impacting it, because we're seeing now, I am reading a lot of things about people going to psychiatrists who have dark thoughts or things going on, or who couldn't cope with all the lockdown part, which, well, basically, I don't have to explain to you. France was hit harder than Belgium, I guess, on that part. So yeah, people are really asking for it. And this is something I want to give to you. If you walk out of this meeting, if you want to start with virtual agents, also have something into place for people who who have dark thoughts, because it will be asked somewhere in time. Of course, to end here with a more happy note, people got jokes, but they also started to make jokes themselves. Some of them were rather racist, unfortunately, but some of them were really nice. And we were also thinking about the idea like, oh, let's go for the joke of the month, and let's have youth tell jokes, and then pick out the best ones, and then put them in the bot later on. I think they already did that a couple of times from business on. So this is really like, it could also think like they also made like a prize draw, like for the best joke of the month, you get 2 free cinema tickets or something like that. So this might be a nice incentive to increase the bot usage at your site as well. It worked for us, by the way. We saw like an increase of 300%. Just a tip. So we already had some of this Lifecycle for our planning phase. So basically, this is a language. This is English. Every one of us can read this. But what if they ask something in Arabic? Basically, it's the same text. It's just being translated. Or what if they ask it in simplified Chinese? We have to cope for that somehow. Or something that we did not expect in the beginning was like youngsters asking things in emoji, because apparently they talk in emoji. So I can still see like what that loving smiley is, or that funny smile. Kisses, I think that's also still positive, but they were also replying with a Tyrannosaurus Rex, most likely it's like, hey, this is cool. The giraffe, we still didn't figure out like what they exactly meant at that time, but we also saw those things passing by. Unfortunately, a natural language interpretation engine, like Lewis or Watson Assistant or whatever, they chop these off. So if you only have like questions or answers from the user, with only emoji, it looks like it's an empty string. So the interpretation language, the engine behind it doesn't understand like what's being asked, because basically you're sending it nothing. So we had to deal with that. The way that we did is basically we translated this. So I had a little piece of code, like whenever we saw an emoji coming up, we replaced it with a text, and we trained our language processing unit on that piece of text to go into a certain topic. And then we had like, I think 8 categories, like very happy, sad, strange, like that giraffe, like we didn't know what was going on. And we tried to give like 8 plans of like based on emotion. What we also did as a testing phase back then is like integrate with other sources from Microsoft and IBM, just to test them, which one was best for emotion detection. Because typing a certain text in a certain way apparently gives like an indication like how this person is feeling happy or is feeling unhappy. And then giving that score as an extra variable to the bot, we can give like potentially a different answer. Like if someone is happy, you can say like, hey, yeah, the sun is shining. By the way, you have 250 euros on your bank account. All is good. Or like, oh yeah, the weather is, yeah, we understand that things are, but you have 250 euros on your account, something like that. So depending on how you answer that, and really we hired specialists for that, we can set the tone a bit of the bot or make it more human. Also in Lewis now, there's also to give like, you can also add a checkbox, you can check it, to give more of like a persona to the bot that you're creating. So also adding already that emotion detection already inward. Of course, you pay extra for it. I didn't see that one yet in Power Virtual Agents, but hopefully in time it will also get there, because it's really constantly being built extra and extra on top of it at the current service. See how we're doing on time. Okay, super. Something that didn't make it yet in the Power Virtual Agent itself is adaptive cards, but I know it's coming, so I also wanted to show you like a small video about it. What is it? You could already make use of it if you integrate your Power Virtual Agent with bot framework skills, because there you can already use it. Of course, that means extra programming, deployment, connecting things together. I find it a bit of a hassle, so I'm just going to wait until it's fully inside of the Power Platform. I think I read somewhere it's going to be somewhere like September, October-ish that it's planned. So let's hope. For those people who did not make use of adaptive cards yet, please take a look at it, because it doesn't only work for bots, it also works with a lot of other things. And it's actually pretty cool stuff. So I'm going to show you like a small video from Microsoft on what powerful adaptive cards are. So as you can see, it's basically JSON behind the screens. And this is how it all looks on different platforms. So it works on iOS, Android, HTML. They're like interpreters for the JSON that you put, and then show it like this. So depending on the operating system that you make use of, or like Cortana, which also has integration for it, you can show it like this. If you want to test it, we can go here to adaptivecards.io. And let's quickly open that one. Okay, so here you can already see like for which one it is. Apparently Reactive Native also got into it. And we can here go, for example, like Schema Explorer. So here is everything which is going on. And here you can see like this piece of JSON is being interpreted like this. I can add extra comments. I can do a few. So basically this is all built into that adaptive cards part. There's also samples that you can take a look at. So here's something for a restaurant, for example. So more info, or stock updates, or whatever, or flight details. Soon, perhaps we can go and take a flight again to another country. So here we can check something. And this is actually pretty cool. This is a designer. So this designer is now working in this one, but you can also have it standalone. And my hope is a little bit that this will also become part of virtual agents quite soon. In that custom-made Canvas authoring system that we built inside at SDWorks, we already had this built inside. So we already have adaptive cards, and it's really helping us. In the beginning, we had a bit of a problem with the Android platform. That's already way better now. We worked very closely with Microsoft over there, and they really appreciated the feedback. So they went on a one-on-one sparring with our team. So it was pretty cool. So here you can add like extra text blocks or whatever you want. This can also be given to business users, of course. And then you can set things here like this text might come from a Power Automate flow, so for example, from SAP or whatever. And then you bind it together, because basically it's just text binding and rendering things. Any questions about that? No? Okay, let's go back here. Oops. Okay. So basically, with this, I would like to conclude my my talk. I hope it was interesting to you. Of course, I will stick around here in this channel for a while longer. If you have any questions, you can email me at kris@azuk.be. Currently, I'm being overwhelmed with emails, so sometimes it might take a couple of days longer, or you can already ask me something on Twitter if you want to. It's at Kris_Mast. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope everything was clear. Apparently, somewhere there was a glitch with the sound, so sorry about that. I hope you found it interesting, and please enjoy the rest of Power Saturday. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kris. You still have 8 minutes, so if anybody have any question, you can or put it on the chat window or raise your hand, and I will ask you to open your mic.
Okay.
So if you don't see the channel, Kris, a lot of people say you thanks. Or for me, but then I follow your session. It was a very good one, and I think I'm not the only one who says that.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, there's also a form, I think, about providing feedback. So I'm looking forward to getting feedback, be it good or bad. If it's bad feedback, then I know that I need to pimp up my skills a bit or try to add more to the session for the next time. And if it's good, I also appreciate that, of course.
Okay, so you have one question. They're asking if the cards are adaptive card not yet available, or are they available?
Adaptive cards as on its own is already available since a couple of years. It's already in version 1.2. It's just not baked into yet Power Virtual agents directly. At the moment, you can get there if you create, and now I'm really talking about coding and publishing a different part, which is bot framework skills, like mini reusable bot framework-like code. In those, you can make use of adaptive cards. You can publish those on the internet, connect them with Power Virtual agents, and then make use of adaptive cards. But personally, at the moment, I think that's way too much overhead and way too costly. But apparently, the main plan is to have it, the visual designer, automatically also in the authoring canvas of Power Virtual agents. And from what I understood, the roadmap, it's somewhere September, October that it will be added. So personally, I'm really looking forward to this because adaptive cards is really a very interesting way to communicate with your end user in a visual way.
Okay, thank you. Also, I will use this time to remind you that after this session, you can go to the cafe in between each session, and also you can put some remark or some feedback about this session on going into the Power Platform channel, and you have a tab when you can fill a form and give some feedback about the session. And of course, if you give a feedback about the session, you can participate to the raffle at the end of this event. So please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone.